welcome back to my channel. So as you saw by the title of this video, this is another squishy makeover, and I haven't done one of these in a really long time, so let's just get into the video. I'm gonna start off with this penguin. So as you all know, it's the holiday season, so I had the idea of turning this into a Christmas penguin, or like a penguin with a Christmas hat on. My plan for this video wasn't even to have it like Christmas themed either. It was just to have like one Christmas, oh my god, I can't speak. My idea was just to have one Christmas squishy and then the rest of them just be, I don't know, normal. Not that any of the squishies I've ever made are normal, but for the hat, I cut off the end of an ice cream cone and I positioned it on like the side of the penguin's head because I felt like it would look really weird if it was just like on top of the penguin's head, like in the center. Anyways, now I'm smoothing out the edges and I'm cutting out a little ball to go on top of the Santa's hat. That didn't make sense. This was kind of a stupid idea, but I didn't have any fabric paint, so I just like glued this thing down with like slick paint. I would not recommend this. It was not a smart decision at all, and it was very hard to get this to stay so it can dry. When it eventually dried, I just went over it with another layer of slick paint so that everything could stay in place because it kind of didn't really do that much. I also hot glued the little ball on top of the hat. Then I decided that the whole stomach area still looked really plain, so I decided to add a little bow tie because I always see little penguins with like bow ties for some reason. Then I started painting the hat, and I was just gonna paint it like any other basic Santa hat, red. I don't really know what to say. It's just the first color choice I thought of. I also decided to paint the bow tie red because I felt like it would look better if it matched his hat. I decided to paint this one with a paintbrush because I just felt like it would look better if it was smooth and not bumpy, because when you paint something straight from the bottle, it kind of looks bumpy for some reason. This took a little bit longer than it would have to paint straight from the bottle, but I honestly like the way it turned out better because I used a paintbrush. But while I'm doing this, you should definitely go down to the little section under this video and hit the subscribe button. That was so smooth. Anyways, like, subscribe, and follow all of my other socials. Thank you. Anyways, after that, I started painting the little ball at the top of the hat. I don't know what to call it. That sounds awkward. And then I painted on the final details of the face and the feet and the beak, but all of that footage got deleted, so here's this. You know, it honestly wouldn't be an avamerceisbusiness video if footage didn't get deleted. So here's the before and after. I'm honestly really happy with the way this turned out. I think it's somewhat of an improvement, but it's very basic. These clips are really satisfying and they actually have sound, so I'm just gonna let you listen to these. Okay, now that that's over, on to the next one. So the next squishy I decided to paint was a pineapple, and the first thing I decided to do was remove the little hook thing at the top, and this was the hardest one of those things that I've ever had to remove in my entire life. Like, I promise you, I'm not exaggerating. This took me about 10 minutes to get the thing out of the top. This thing was just stuck on there. Like, this just would not come out. I tried scissors, I tried everything. But eventually I did get this out, and I honestly felt so good in that moment because I was finally done fighting with this thing. But I had a very big hole that I needed to fill, so I started doing that with memory foam. Then I started sealing up all the little rips and holes with fabric paint. Then I started shaping all the other little pieces that I was gonna need, and I'm turning this into SpongeBob's house. I just thought this would be like a really fun challenge to try to do for this squishy. I've had this idea for about 2 years now, and I was honestly avoiding it the past 2 years because I thought I would mess this up really bad, but I'm so glad that I finally decided to do it because I've been wanting to do it for such a long time. So after I finished cutting out all the little pieces, I started gluing them onto the pineapple, and I usually don't use hot glue on squishies because it makes them like weird and hard for some reason, but one, I was out of fabric glue, and two, this was just easier because there's so many little pieces. After I finished gluing all of those on, I sealed them with another layer of slick paint, and after that took forever to dry, I started painting the pineapple orange. I tried to find an orange that was exactly like the shade of SpongeBob's actual house, but this is the closest one I could find. After I finished painting the main section of the pineapple, I moved on to the details, starting with the leaves. I used 2 different shades of green for this because I thought using one would look too plain. Then I started painting all of the doors and windows, and I used the same color blue for all of them. This was just as a base coat because I ended up going back with a different shade of blue to do like more details. Then I started painting on the windows. This was probably the most satisfying part because this was just like I actually knew what I wanted, because for the other blues it took me so long to pick out what I actually wanted. And finally I went in with a toothpick for all of the little details. I basically just outlined the windows and then went in with the little dots.
One eternity later.
Literally one eternity later, here's the final product. I'm actually really happy with how this one came out. Like, I know it's not exactly the same as the original, but you know, for me this is good. Okay, moving on to the last squishy, I decided to do just a blank panda bun for this one because the shape of this gave me an idea. My idea was that I could turn this into a fishbowl, but it took me a while to figure out how I wanted to do this. But eventually I just decided that I was gonna paint it and then do a bunch of like designs of things that you would see in a fishbowl, like plants or rocks, just decorations like that. I'm gonna paint the decorations on the side, and then on the top I'm gonna paint these fish that I see literally everywhere. I just thought this would be a really cool idea because I haven't seen anyone paint this on a squishy yet, so I was really excited to try this and see what would happen. So this took me a lot more coats, but I'm just gonna spare you the time of watching that, and here we are at the fun part. So I decided that before I would start painting, I would sketch this all out with Sharpie because that's the only thing that shows up on squishies. I'm so glad I decided to sketch this all out first, because if I didn't,
I don't even want to imagine what kind of disaster it would have been.
But for the decorations on the outside, I decided to do a little sandcastle, a bunch of plants, and like a little rock thing. I just wanted to do simple and easy designs, but if you were to look at this, I wanted you to be able to tell like what they were if you didn't know what like the vision for this was. So after I painted all of those, I moved on to the bottom. So at the bottom, I decided to make it look like sand because whenever I see a fishbowl, I usually see like sand or rocks at the bottom. And I also just thought it would look better than me trying to paint on like a bunch of rocks. Like, I'm pretty sure if I went with that, you probably wouldn't even know what I was trying to paint. So I just went with sand. Next, I started painting on some of the little details, and honestly, the details on the sandcastle were pretty hard because I was very indecisive with how I wanted this. And eventually I got to the fun part, which was painting all the little fish at the top. This is probably my favorite part of the whole squishy because they were way easier to paint than I thought they would be, and they ended up looking really cute. And here's the final squishy. This one is probably my favorite one that I've done today. I just love all the little details, and I really love that it came out better than I thought it would. But anyways, I think that's where I'm going to wrap up this episode of Squishy Makeovers. This was really fun to film, and I'm really happy with how all of these turned out. If you like the series and you want to see more episodes, please make sure you hit like and subscribe. Also, comment down below which squishy was your favorite. I'm pretty sure mine was the fishbowl. Alright, that's it for today. I love you guys. Bye!